stomp your feet to the sound of all your burdens crashing down, 'cause I belong to you. I'm hypnotized. Oh, I know that I love you even though you've changed everything in my life. Oh, I know that I love you even though I seem to be hypnotized. I got my money stuffed in a jar. I never dreamt of going far, but then you came along. Now I'm begging to belong. I can't give you anything that wasn't free. If love is all you need, then tell me you believe. Baby, I got nothing left to lose. Go on and take my heart, it's right in front of you. Nothing left to lose. I'm gonna make you mine if it's all I ever do. You stole the courage right from my lips. I swore I'd never speak again, but then I caught your name. Now I swear it's all I say, but I can't show you anything you haven't seen. If love is all you need, then tell me you believe. Baby, I got nothing left to lose. Go on and take my heart, it's right in front of you. Nothing left to lose. I'm gonna make you mine if it's all I ever do. Can't you see? Girl, you're just all the air left. I wanna breathe, so tell me please. Do you think you'll ever see yourself with me? I'm on my knees. Come on and put me out of my sweet misery and set me free. No, this time won't last for long if you don't let it be. And I can't promise you anything, but all you'll ever need. Live that force and see, yeah. Tell me you believe. Baby, I got nothing left to lose. Go on and take my heart, it's right in front of you. Nothing left to lose. I'm gonna make you mine if it's all I ever do. Nothing left to lose. Go on and take my heart, it's right in front of you. Nothing left to lose. I'm gonna make you mine if it's all I ever do. It took a while to get a hold of me, but now you got my ear. So go ahead, come on and
I have voice now. The button on my microphone got hit. Good. Let's try that again. Hello and welcome to my stream. I am Kaya Ariana. You can call me Kaya for short. And we should have voice now. Don't know why Logitech likes to put those buttons on the mics, but it works, and you bump them accidentally, and you have no sound. So I debated back and forth whether I was going to have my fabric prepped and ready to go, or whether I was going to completely start from scratch. And I decided I was going to completely start from scratch, just to give some perspective on how this crazy thing goes. So I have some fabric. This is a 28 count Jobelin. It is a even weave fabric, so it's got lots of tiny little holes. I'll be stitching 2 over 2, and what that means is 2 pieces of embroidery floss from a 6-strand piece, combined 2 together over 2 holes. So if you stitch on Ada, which is also technically an even weave, but it's not even weave, you would do over 1, but on a traditional even weave, usually 28 count or higher, you would do over 2, unless you're going for a micro cross stitch pattern, and then you would do over 1. But that's really tiny holes. So I'm getting my Q-snap prep so that I can put the fabric on it. But before I put the fabric on my Q-snap, which is this little frame here, move my phone out of frame, I'm going to find the center of my fabric. And the way I do that is I fold my fabric in half, and then I fold it in half again to find the center. And that seems to be the best way to find the very center of your fabric. So the pattern we're going to be starting today is Teresa Wentzler's Carousel Horse. She is quite a challenge, and I recommend, if you're going to do any of her pieces, to work on even weave fabric, 28 count being the highest count or the lowest count that I would work on for a Teresa Wentzler. Her stuff is challenging, and I'm probably crazy for starting it on stream. So now that I've found my center, I'm going to mark it. I've got an assortment of needles over here, so I'm just going to use a needle I won't be using to mark my center, so when I unfold it, I know exactly where my center is. This one happens to be longer than it is wide. I think this is the first time I'm actually stitching on Jobelin. I've done the Monaco before, and I have stitched on linen, but not a really good quality linen. So I had a lot of those kind of holes because it was the weave wasn't super even. So this is going to be a new one. We'll see how the Jobelin goes. So I've got my center marked. It's a little hard to say, I have it out of frame. So I have my center marked with this needle here so I know where it is. And I found the center of my pattern, which wasn't well marked because this was an older pattern. And I marked it. Where did I mark it? This is the fun part. I marked my pattern ahead of time. I know I did, because that was the center there. And then a little bit of chart reading. Okay, so I found where I'm starting. Yay, I made notes so that I could figure this out. Alright, so the first color that we are starting with is the plus sign. This is not a full color chart. Starting with Peter Gray, which is 317. So I've got some 317 ready to go that I just have to unwind and find. That's not going to be a big enough piece. Did you actually, Inaka, did you actually see the pattern or could do anything with it? Because, yeah. Because if you can, then I'm super impressed that if you could get this carousel horse out of this pattern. So. If you can do that, then I am completely impressed if you could stitch based on that little amount that you saw. So I had a needle set aside, and now it was on my needle minder, and now I don't know where it went. It's okay. I have lots of needles. I'll find the needle later, hopefully not with my foot. Alright, now that I actually have my floss. Hi, Mom. I'm going to thread my needle. Alright, so the ideal center on this particular stitch is an ecru square. Ecru is an off-white, kind of an ivory, and this happens to be ivory fabric. So stitching ivory on stream would not be super exciting, so I'm starting a little bit off-center, but still from a center start so I could figure out where to go. It's okay, Naka. It's alright if alcohol is consumed. My mom's an adult. She understands. Alright, so we're doing that. If I'm out of frame, I apologize. I'm just finding my starting spot so I can put it on the Q-snap and get going. And I'm going to be quiet because counting is hard. Alright, I have found my start. And, alright, now I can get rid of my other little needle that I don't need. I am doing I guess you can call it a pin start, where I'm pinning the tail of the floss under the next stitch so that it stays in place. I'm only going to do one stitch off this Q-snap, and then I'm going to put it on. I just wanted it started so that I could go, because once you're on the Q-snap, the fold of your center doesn't always stay as well. So I just want to get that going, and then we will put it on the Q-snap. There we go. And that's pinned in place. It decided to slip. We're going to do a second stitch just to be safe. And then I will be back in frame, I promise. It has been quite a while since I have worked on even weave fabric. My last few projects have been on 8 cloth, mostly 14 count, but I've gotten back onto 18 count. With cross-stitching fabric, the smaller the number, the larger the holes. So it's 14 stitches or 14 squares per inch. Where the 18 count is 18. So okay, now that I've got two little half stitches right here, hard to see there, I'm going to put it on my Q-snap so that I can actually figure out where we're going. So I'm not sure how centered I'm going to have this, but we'll do that there. I was a die-hard hoop user for cross-stitching until I recently discovered the Q-snap. And I don't think I'm going back for much, because it holds tension on the fabric so much better than a hoop ever did, and it doesn't leave those annoying creases that the hoops can leave. They're super lightweight because they're made out of a PVC type pipe, and they're easy to maintain or adjust tension. So now that it's on my frame, good to go. We're going to do a couple more things. One, I'm going to tuck this excess fabric in by, well, actually first I'm going to put my needle minder in so I don't lose my needle again. And then I'm going to tuck the excess fabric in with a grime guard to protect the fabric and to keep it from being in the way. Q-snaps are just amazing for my giant patterns. I prefer the scroll frame. I need to get a stand for my scroll frame if I ever want to do more with it. It's just bulky and awkward sometimes. So I have one. I got it for actually the first Teresa Wentzler pattern I did because it had a lot of beadwork and I couldn't see how it was going to work with a hoop to tuck with the beads and everything. So I got a scroll frame for that, and I did all the beadwork on that scroll frame, and it was a ton of work. And I'm glad I got it done, though. I'm very pleased with myself. Yes, it is a duck Q-snap, a duck grime guard. There we go. Now we've got ducks, and we are ready to continue this. This one's going to take quite a while. So I'm going to be stitching over 2. Let's see. I gotta see exactly how many I have to do. Alright, so we've got 5 stitches. There's a couple different ways you can cross stitch, either by making one X at a time or by doing a whole row and then coming back. Which is considered the Danish method of cross stitching. I've done my homework and I got that correct finally. That's the way I learned how to cross stitch, and that's the way I find it's the easiest. There's also other. You can also do what's called cross-country stitching, where you kind of finish both sections of color before you move on, or you can do one stitch, like one row at a time. I prefer to do cross-country stitching. I'll work on a color till I can't easily count to it anymore. So with the even weave fabric, I'm working over 2 holes. So I'm skipping a hole to make my X's, and so on 28 count even weave, you're actually stitching more like 14 count Aida in terms of size. Yeah, the first project that I did on even weave was a Teresa Wentzler, and it was, at the time, I was not ready to jump to even weave, but I did it anyway, and I'm glad I did, because it kind of got I didn't realize that you could stitch on any fabric other than Aida cloth. I didn't know that it existed. All I knew was Aida. And then I'm like, oh, you can do it on this. Oh, okay. Oh, this makes half and 3/4. This makes 3/4 cross stitches so much easier than it did before. But yeah. And there we go. Just working one at a time, one stitch at a time in each row, and then coming back the other direction. So it's hard to tell on here, but I'm on the side flank of the horse, just under the saddle. And there's actually a whole series. There's 4 of these carousel horses. There's one for each season. I do have all 4 patterns. I do eventually intend to stitch all 4 patterns. I also have the actual carousel pattern done by this author. Oh, Naka, you need this needle minder. It was cute. I couldn't resist it. I needed it. And I didn't even have a needle minder, so I had the best excuse to get one. And I will say, I probably should have gotten one beforehand. I didn't know what I was missing, and it's so nice to just drop my needle on it and not have to worry about it. So a needle minder is a magnet, so there are actually 2 pieces to it. There is the fun little part, and then a smaller magnet. And you put that on your fabric, one on each side, and it sticks to your fabric. And you can just drop your needle on it and it stays right there. Hey Arrow, how you doing today? I'm doing pretty good myself. Welcome to my stream. Just started the Carousel Horse. About 5 or 7 stitches in. So right now it's not looking like a whole lot, just some funny stitches. I do have the example of what it's going to look like when it's done in the corner of my screen. So, right, let's see, up there. Figuring out exactly where the movement is so that you can, get an idea of what it's going to look like when it's finished. That's going to be a while. This is, and I've already managed to get myself a small little loop knot. I'm actually going to frog that because I don't want that to be a problem later. So frogging, if you are new to cross-stitching, is when you are going to be removing stitches that you've already done because of a mistake, or in my case I got a small knot that I needed to work out, which worked itself out pretty good. And sometimes it sounds like a frog when it goes through the fabric, other time, or the idea that you rip it out. So rip it. Poor little froggies. Most of my projects I have frogged at least once. So I'm not perfect. I'm doing a stitch along with Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery, which is where I got the needle minder from. And the third month of the stitch along had a frog, and I must have made mistakes. Frogged that frog 3 or 4 times. I was so frustrated with it. Oh, Naka. Frogging happens. I'm not perfect. I don't pretend to be perfect. There we go. Hey, glad I caught it then and not like 2 or 3 rows later. It's always frustrating when you find the mistake and you have to take out quite a few stitches. Then there's the dilemma of whether you work around the mistake or you frog your stitches and fix it. Hey Muses, how you doing? Oh, my stream is going better than yours. Oh no, sorry. No, your streams are awesome. I enjoy coming and chatting with you. I'm doing pretty good, just kind of chilling. And starting up a new cross stitch, doing Teresa Wentzler's Summer Carousel Horse. This pattern is traditionally out of print, but you can still get it from Patterns Online. You can download it, purchase and download it there. Actually, all of the carousel horses except the winter one are available online. Getting drunk and diamond painting. Excellent. I will not, might have something later, but I am not going to drink on stream. We're going to keep it to water or tea. It was a little bit warm today outside, but not too bad. So I have been drinking a lot of water. Because that's what you do. You drink all the water. Oh. Yeah, I've been wanting to do these carousel horses for a while. I lucked out. I found all 4 of them and the carousel on eBay. I will say be careful purchasing patterns on eBay. These were the original leaflets, so it's no worse than buying a book from a secondhand dealer or anything else like that. But don't share your PDF patterns. This is my public service announcement for the stream, is don't share service announcement digital patterns. We want to make sure our artists continue to create patterns, and if you share patterns, they're not getting compensation, and then they don't create more patterns. So some cross stitchers probably don't show their backs on stream, the back of their stitching. I probably will because that's how I work. And also, I find making my backs even part of my obsession with cross stitch. I My mom will tell you that my backs are disgusting. She hates how neat they are. So I'm going to definitely toot my own horn and say I'm proud of the backs of my cross stitch work. So another thing about Teresa Wentzler's her patterns is they tend to have a lot of color blends as well as not a lot of confetti. And confetti is when you're working a bunch of different colors all around and nothing really matches up, which looks great. Doing confetti is not always the most fun. Let's see. 1, 2, 3. Oh, no, there's a half stitch in there. Alright, so I'm actually going to do a 3/4 cross stitch here, which on your even weaves is super easy. Yeah. Yep, I love you anyway. Oh, thanks, Mom. Yeah, but you could have neat backs too. I've seen your backs of your cross stitch. They're not that bad. So I did not count correctly, so because I actually need to be down 1. So luckily this was easy enough that I could just backtrack instead of actually frogging. There we go. Alright, now we're going to actually do that 3/4 cross stitch. So what I've done is I've done the half cross stitch, which is just the one over, and the 3/4 you're going to come to the center. And on even weave, it is so much easier to do a 3/4 stitch than it is on Aida cloth, because on even weave there's a hole there for your needle to go through. On Aida, you have to make your own hole. You can do them, but it's not as easy. I'm not a fan of doing 3/4 on Aida. I will if the pattern calls for it, and I didn't realize before I started that it did. This pattern is a hand-drawn pattern, so sometimes the stitches, the symbols are a little hard to read. That's when I'm coming way over here. My pattern is just off screen here. And the way I work left to right and then top to bottom. So once I find my center start, I tend to work my way to the upper left corner as quickly as I can. This one I don't think I'm going to be able to because it will be a lot more counting. So I'll probably work to the center of the carousel horse because there's the center pole, and then I'll work my way to the border. Or I might just do the whole carousel horse and then go to the border. We'll see. We'll see where it takes me. My remote. Oh, yay! Muses, you got your remote. Oh, that's cool. Yay! That's a cute one. I wish you guys could all see what I can see, because I've got my dog just looking at me like it's amazing. I would try to call her over, but she, getting her up into the view of the camera would be kind of difficult. I have a greyhound. She is a 68-pound dog who is all muscle and bone and couch potato. Oh, of course, Muses. Definitely. I'm excited about your remote, too. That's awesome. But yeah, so unfortunately, we probably won't ever get the dog on stream. As exciting as it would be to meet the dog, she probably won't make it to stream. But maybe someday. She's a good dog. And yeah. working on the carousel horse's belly. In honor of starting the carousel horse, I wore my carousel horse t-shirt. Hard to see, but it's from Disneyland. It's the King Arthur carousel, which is the carousel there, and happens to be where I learned my love of carousels. I have a little bit of a carousel obsession. People will ask me, "Oh, what's your favorite ride?" And I always will say, "Oh, it's the carousel." And then people look at me like I'm crazy. But we all know, if you've known me long enough, you probably know that I am a little bit crazy. But it's way more fun that way. Kai has a Disney shirt. Everyone's shocked. Raise your hand. Yeah, I'm not shocked. I have Disney shirts. I have Star Trek shirts. I have other geeky shirts, not just Disney. I even have a shirt with ducks on it. Well, just one duck, and it says we need to talk about the ducks. Because we always need to talk about the ducks. If you've never seen that video, I recommend going to YouTube and searching "We Need to Talk About the Ducks," and you'll be entertained by James Veach and how he tortured his roommates with rubber bath ducks. I highly, highly recommend it. I'll have to wear that one on stream someday. Alright, so another 3/4 cross stitch coming up. But now that I've got this a little bit of a corner established on here, we'll actually have less counting. The biggest trick with cross-country cross-stitching is to establish some landmarks, because you do less counting because you have landmarks. If you're working just row by row, you don't have to worry about counting. You've got it gridded or marked off. There is fabric that is gridded, which is really great if you are going to do full coverage, but if you're not, you either want to grid your fabric with a water-soluble marker or with a thread. And Dad just rolled his eyes. Okay, that sounds like my father. Hi, Dad. I know cross-stitching is not that exciting, but nope, that was supposed to be a 3/4 cross-stitch. But I find it enjoyable, and it's also about the conversation. The pre-gridded fabric washes out? No way. That's amazing. Okay. That's like all the cheating. Full coverage not needed. Good to know. I did not know that the pre-gridded stuff washed out. That's kind of dangerous thinking about that. 1, 2, 3. Bun Knits, thank you for the host. Of course, now I've worked myself into another knot. I hope I don't have to cut this one. There we go. Oh. Might get noisy for a second. I'm actually directly next to where the dog bowl is, and it is time to feed the dog, so she may be coming over to eat. And Bunnit, thank you for the follow. Welcome! Thank you so much for stopping by and tossing me a host. Hi, Booger Brain. Welcome! Do a little shout out to the couple streamers I've got in here watching. Muses Fairy, if she's still here, she is a crafter. She does all kinds of neat things. Does diamond painting, does crochet, does a little bit of gaming. You should go check her out too. You got Naka when she gets to stream. She does crafting and does games as well. She also has little ones, so streaming isn't always an option. And then Bun Knits is a knitter. She also cross stitches. Check her channel out as well. She's pretty awesome. I am getting all sorts of loop knots, and it's not fun. So hopefully that won't continue. But it probably will, because I always get knots in my cross stitch, and I end up either able to work them out, or I have to cut the floss and keep going. Daisy! I was like, I don't know. Booger brain, I don't know. Daisy, welcome! Daisy, play WoW with Daisy back on. So, I did not know your Twitch name. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yeah, Arrow, I agree. It is hard to stream with a little one. Luckily, my husband, who in Twitch is Cujo, or Cujo Senior, he has baby duty while I stream, and we've decided to work that out together. So she is actually, I can see her, she's crawling all over the place and pulling herself up on stuff. She's getting really, really big really quickly. I don't believe it. She's not growing up so fast. She's growing too fast. Are you working on cross stitch as well, Mom? For those of you who don't know, SL Sew is my mom. She is a crafter as well. She also is an amazing seamstress. She makes my costumes. She made my wedding dress. She is quite amazing with a sewing machine. She can do almost anything. And a lot of the fabric that you'll see in my grime guards, I kind of stole from her stash. So, had to go get the ducks. I saw it. It was mine. But yay, ducks. Yes, I do like ducks. So they're duck related things are awesome. I like ducks, carousel horses. Do you like dragons? No, you're working on Shrek costumes. Oh, that's right. My mom is also does theater, so she works with the costume departments in theater, and she's currently the local. I don't remember if it was youth theater or not. Is going to do Shrek down by her, so she's working on costumes for Shrek. If you've never seen Shrek the Musical, it is a fun one. I got to see it a couple summers ago. It is available on Netflix as well. Oh, high school show. Okay. Yeah, I think that would be better for high school than a true youth theater. Though it could be fun for youth theater. It is a family-friendly show. Let's see. So now that I've got some of these rows established, I'm not counting as much. I'm just going for reference points, so I know where I am. Right now, it looks like a whole lot of nothing, and it'll probably look like a whole lot of nothing for a while. But that's the fun part. You get to watch it evolve into something else. Oh. Now my work schedule keeps things unpredictable, so I'm going to try to be streaming on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays. I will post my schedule for streaming as it comes up, so that if you're curious, check out my page. I'll have what times I intend to stream, which is all dependent on the baby and a lot of other things. It is kind of amusing to be watching Cujo chase the baby all over the living room. But we can't make him do that forever, so we're eventually gonna have to let him do something else. I'll probably finish up this section here, and then I will probably switch colors to give an idea. So there's more than just gray on white on stream. Hopefully my next color choice won't be something like, oh, you're going to be doing ivory now. Ivory. Well, that's exciting. I don't know if you guys can hear the baby, but she is happily making noise as she's playing with blocks and whatnot. So right now the baby is super obsessed with the dog, and the dog, being a greyhound, is not super obsessed with the baby unless she's eating. So the dog just gave the baby a warning of, hey, I don't like that bark, which is fine. That's all I want her to do. My pattern almost tried to attack me. Let's see. I don't think that's so much greyhound. I think that's just food-driven dog. Yeah, Kishu's the greyhound is food-driven until she's not. And in fact, she didn't eat all of her dinner, which is typical of her sometimes. She decides that, no, I don't want dog food anymore. I just want... Actually, I think we're going to... We'll go ahead and keep that going. No, I think we're going to clip that instead of starting that row because of what else. So when I'm going to either finish up with a color or start in a new location, I weave my needle under previous stitches, because unless you're working on doing what's called waste canvas on other fabric, where basically the grid, you can pull it away, you don't want to make knots in your cross stitch stuff, because knots don't make for nice stitches later on, and they keep things bumpy and that way. So by weaving your tail under, you don't have knots. So in a way, I finish just like I start, put the tail under some other stitches, and keep going. But yeah, so there we go. It's working on the stomach of the carousel horse. I just kicked my Yandu out of the screen. There he is. And once I get more stitches done, the over 2 grid will be better established, so that it won't be quite as much counting to figure out where things are. So one thing also about this artist, Teresa Wentzler, is that she does a lot of blends, so she gets this beautiful shading effect. So the way I'm looking at the stitching for the stomach, it's probably going to gradate a bit to give this effect of shadow and light that's more than just changing colors. So you'll have two different colors together to create its own color. There's a lot of play-like noise coming from my daughter's room, considering she went to bed over an hour ago. Oh, so somebody's playing instead of sleeping. I used to, probably not when I was as young as your little one, but I used to read a lot and stay up reading all night, especially in high school and middle school. Had to read all those books. I find I have less time to read now than I did. I can't wait to get back into reading more. I guess I stop stitching if I want to read more. Maybe I'll do more audiobooks. As long as I stay in her room, I'm honestly fine with it. She's tired tomorrow, that's her own fault. Yeah, that sounds fair. If she wants to stay in her room and not sleep, go for it. But it won't be your fault if she's a cranky butt. So to give some perspective, which is a little hard to tell right now, this here is going to be the bottom part of the carousel horse's stomach. Once we get more established, then we'll be able to tell that it's more of a carousel horse and less of some random gray splotches on the fabric. I debated long and hard which carousel horse I wanted to start first, because there's so many. Well, there's just the three others, but I was like, do I want to do summer? Do I want to do fall, winter, spring? Since we are heading into summer soon, I figured summer was the best one to start with. But as I am in Southern California, summer tends to arrive sooner than we like and stay longer than we wish. We've had a couple really brutal for us summers the last few years. And we haven't had winter as we know it. Yes, winter here is not like winter in most places. We don't have snow, we don't have that, but we do get kind of cold for our standards, and I miss winter as I know winter. I miss wearing my scarves. So I've got one more row after this one, and then I've got some rows to go down this side, and then I'll probably switch colors. Yay, color change! And it will probably be another gray, so it won't be super exciting. Naka says you can borrow some of our cold next winter. Not all the cold. If anything too cold, I don't do well in, but you can take some of the warm. Sure. It was really nice today. It was about mid-70s Fahrenheit all day. Nice breeze. Just some of the cold. Yeah, I worked outside today, so it was nice. I enjoyed being outside. Yeah. So the consensus, Naka, I'm not sure if I like the texture of the Joblin. It has a very synthetic feel to it. I think I might just go with the Monaco or linen next time around, though I may do the other carousel horses on the Joblin just to keep it consistent. But we'll see how I feel by the end of this project. But the weave is nice, and I like that, so that's always a nice step. I would not recommend working on even weave if you've never cross-stitched before. I would recommend working on an Aida cloth. A 14 count's a really good count to start with. I also wouldn't recommend anything by Teresa Wentzler as a first cross-stitch project because you'll probably want to tear your eyes out by the end of it. It's a good word for what you disliked about it, synthetic. Yeah, if I remember when I was reading what it is, I believe it's a blend of cotton and some other synthetic textile, so I don't remember if it was polyester or what. I'd have to look it up. Ah, Muse's Fairy is raiding with a party of 2. Excellent. Welcome. Welcome, Muse's viewers. Welcome. My name is Kayariana. I am a cross-stitcher. I also paint and do a variety of other things. You may call me Kaya for short, because I know Kayariana can be a mouthful for some. I'm currently working on starting a brand new cross-stitch project. This is the sample is up in the corner, up over there in the corner of what I'm working on. It is Summer Carousel Horse by Teresa Wentzler. Her patterns are quite complicated, but they're a lot of fun if you're willing for a challenge. I just started it. I'm working on 28 count Joblin, which I am not 100% sure I like the feel of the fabric, but we'll see by the end of the stitch whether I continue using Joblin moving forward. Welcome K-Bit, welcome. I hope everyone's having a good evening so far. Cross-stitching is a lot of fun. I enjoy it a lot. It's one of the ways I take care of stress. K-Bit, thank you for the follow. Welcome again. But yeah, this is cross-stitching. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm working with a dark gray right now, and we're working on the carousel horse's stomach. This is the bottom part next to the saddle. I did a center start, so I folded my fabric in half twice to mark the center. Didn't start quite in the true center because the true center had ivory as the color, and I'm working on ivory fabric, and we wanted some contrast on stream. We'll do ivory once we have more things established. Didn't want you going, what is she stitching? I can't tell. Getting drunk and diamond painting. Sounds like fun. Sounds like fun. Yeah, I would not recommend drunk cross-stitching. You'll probably miscount and then you'll be frustrated, and that's no fun. Other drunk arts and crafts, yes, definitely. Naka doesn't understand how she can make those patterns. They're so detailed, it's crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I found this artist when I found a dragon. I found Teresa Wentzler's Celestial Dragon, which I actually have. So after my break in a little bit, I will pull that out and show that to you guys. It was a lot of fun. It was crazy. But I don't know why. I would not recommend it for a beginner. She does a lot of blends, and I was introduced to this lovely little stuff called blending filament. This pattern also has blending filament in it, but doesn't seem to have too much, so it won't go too crazy. What blending filament is this plasticky fiber that adds a little bit of glitter and shimmer, which is really pretty, and I love the way it looks, but I will probably be cursing it as I use it when I get to that point. No drunk cross-stitching. Oh well, I guess I'm doing it wrong half the time. No, you're doing it right. There's no wrong way to cross-stitch. I probably would have problems because I'd miscount and then I'd frustrate myself. And I did miss a stitch up here, but that's okay. It was a 3/4 stitch. Yeah, blends are not too bad. Yeah, as Nako was saying, blends are not too complicated. It's just remembering, okay, I'm adding this color and this color, one strand of this color and one strand of that color to make a different color. And it really helps, and I've already prepped it because I wanted it simple. Either use a I like to either use cardboard and punch out holes, or some cardstock. I actually picked up some pattern ones. I can't remember if I was at Michael's or Joann's. It's right here. I have a couple of these project cards, and I've already set out, written on it in pencil so I could reuse them, the symbols and the colors for the blends in this project, so that I can keep track of those, which is super important if you are doing that, because you don't want to lose track of your blends. My first experience with blended colors was actually in a Dimensions Gold kit. Dimensions is a company that makes a lot of different cross-stitch kits and other crafting type things, and their gold kits are a little more complicated. So if you are already a cross-stitcher and you're looking to kind of challenge yourself, try Dimensions Gold kit. It definitely uses a lot of blends, a lot of half cross-stitches. Definitely take your cross-stitching to that next level if you want, before you go into even weave or whatnot. OMG. Heaven and Earth Designs has these new project thread organizers made out of wood. So gorgeous. Yeah, that would be cool, but I don't need any more project organizers. If it was up to my husband, I would probably not have as much cross stitches as I do, but it's fun. I find it relaxing, and I don't let it take over the entire house. I've actually got it contained to the corner over here. So I'm actually kind of proud of that fact. Let's see, my first project since being a kid was a normal Dimensions kit, and that had blends and half stitches. It was a birth record. Super cute. Awesome. Yeah, I did a birth record for my little one. I actually couldn't find one I liked, so I took a dragon pattern by Joan Elliott and made it into a birth announcement. It is super cute, and I had a lot of fun with it. But yeah, I couldn't find one I liked. Everything for me was a little too cutesy or too religious, and I wanted dragons. I like dragons, and who says babies can't have dragons? But yeah, it's... So then I get to decide what color I should do next. Do I move further into this spot, or do I move up into the saddle? The saddle might have some more exciting colors, so I may move to the saddle after I finish this section. This project has some blues and greens and pinks. Babies can totes have dragons. Well, she's got a unicorn. It's this cute little thing. Her grandmother got her this little plush unicorn for Christmas. Her aunt got her a unicorn that makes noise and stuff. And she absolutely loves it, which is too bad. Amy has a kitten puppy one. Aiden has a jungle one. Dragons are limited to stuffed animals. Oh, for the birth announcements, yeah, I did the dragon for my little one, and for my husband and I, for our wedding announcement, I actually had a Mickey and Minnie cross stitch kit, which was really kind of cute. So I managed to, while living with my then fiance, now husband, to stitch it completely in secret while living together. He didn't see it until it was finished just before we were married. That's probably my next goal. I need to put together a slideshow of cross-stitch projects to kind of play in the corner, so people can look at an idea of what other kind of stuff I've worked on. Plus anything that gets finished on stream. Yay! Finishing things! We won't talk about the number of works in progress I have, though apparently I don't have too many compared to some of my friends, so yay! And I'll say 2 of my works in progress currently don't count. I'm doing 2 year-long stitch-alongs, and what a year-long stitch-along is only a part of the pattern gets released each month. So you're forced to pace yourself. It's also a good way, I find, to kind of interrupt my bigger projects. Oh look, the new thing came out. I can start the new thing. Distract myself from the larger project for a couple days, and then go back to the large project. So I have one by the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery. It's called Into the Jungle, and it's super cute. And it's got these super cute animals. And that one is finished until the next month, May release. And then I have one by Lakeside Needlecraft, designed by Doreen Jones. It's dogs through time, but there's also a cat version. So if you're more of a cat person, and there's a cats through time. So it's the same thing, but cats versus dogs. And that one is also complete until next month. So yay! Keeping up on my works on my stitch along so that I can continue working bigger projects. I also have a koi fish pattern I'm working on for my mother. And I have an ocelot, which I'm dragging my heels on because it's just not holding my interest like I thought it would when I originally started it. And I'm just slogging through it. And then I'm also working on a goose. I'm working on the streamer Serenadia. Her community was working on, for a spring stitch, goose and tulips. And that one's turning out to be really cute and really fun. I think I'm missing a work in progress somewhere. But that's okay. Oops, did I? No, I got that right. Oh, and then when I'm at work, I can't always bring my bigger project, so at certain locations, I work on a smaller project. So, and, I have a small stitch I take at work, which is a variant on a other stitch that I've completed with the Chinese Phoenix. Keep wanting to type in your Sal and Spring Sal commands. Yeah, Naka, that's not going to work. I don't have that bot in my chat. I'm working on getting a bot set up just to help moderate chat on the fly, but I just haven't had a chance to really mess with it. But I wouldn't have those commands either, I don't think, because that would be silly. So. One thing I've really enjoyed recently is how many cross-stitch patterns you can find online. So many different PDFs that can be released. You can start stitching almost immediately and not have to wait for something to get delivered. It's super dangerous and super awesome, but at the same time. Gonna finish out this piece of floss, and then I'm gonna take a quick break just to get up and stretch. So. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, oh, 5, okay. 5 in the diagonal. So it looks like we will be going on to the next color after the break, as soon as I finish up either whatever runs out first, the piece of floss, or I catch up to the other side here. Which will also be a test of whether I counted correctly. If things match up, then I definitely counted correctly. If things don't match up, then I miscounted and I'll be doing some frogging, which is super frustrating because no one wants to frog after doing close to an hour's worth of work. If I can remember to untwist my floss more often, which would be good because it helps prevent knots. Yay, because knots are not fun. Let's see. Does anyone have any plans for the weekend? I realize that we are Friday, and if you're not out on the town tonight, relaxing in is always nice. I'm not quite sure what being out on the town is like now that I have a small child, so it must be fun. People still do it, I think. So for this weekend, my husband and I are into medieval recreation and reenactment. So we are going to be going to a couple events this weekend. Going to a Barony's anniversary, and then we're going to Baron's Feast, which is hosted locally, to eat all the noms. We jokingly call Baron's Feast Hobbit Day because you're going to eat breakfast, and then you're going to have second breakfast, and then you're going to have lunch and elevensies and all those things. So it's like being a hobbit. Looks like my mom has a Shrek dress rehearsal, always fun. And my little one's on the move, moving to find me, it looks like. And she's taken away by Dad. Dad to the rescue. Homebound might have friends over on Sunday for play date with kids. Always nice. Yeah, last weekend we spent at home. Had a busy couple weeks, and I was like, I can't people right now. I need to stay home. But I'm ready to get out and see friends this weekend. Be a lot of fun. Getting to the Naka's getting kids to the park to burn off some of that energy, when weather permitting. Oh, that's right. You guys had more snow dumped on you, didn't you? Or is that gone and back? And so as I have only 4 more stitches, I am playing a little bit of floss chicken right now, because like I really don't want to cut more floss to finish 2.5 more stitches. So we will see how well I play this game of floss chicken. I can speak today. The snow's pretty much melted, thankfully, yeah. That snow stuff, I don't quite understand it myself. It's wet and it's cold and it's white. I've never actually lived in snow. I have lived out here on the West Coast my entire life. So I've been to snow, I have seen snow. I've played in snow, and that's the extent of my snow experience. And I'm okay with that. We just have rain occasionally, and nobody knows what to do when it's raining, so that's always exciting. So I actually finished off that little bit of section there. Yay! I am going to take a quick break because I gotta get up and walk around and stretch my hands for a bit, but I will be right back, and we will continue stitching. So I will see you guys in just a little bit. All right, I'm back. Oh, hey, Saren, you showed up. Welcome. Thank you for the host. And I see Hikari is sneaking in with no audio, so I'm going to give her a quick type to say hi. And I totally looked at what color I was going to next, and I have totally forgotten what color it is already. 5, 4, 3. Okay. Now I have to figure out where I put it, because I am not at all organized in my little box at all. Five, 4, 3. I do have a small notebook that has floss samples in it, so I can actually find what color it is. Okay, that's what it is. 5, 4, 4, 3. It's this very light beige brown. So. Of course, I can't find the color I'm looking for because I'm looking for it. There it is. That was louder than I intended that to be. All right. So the way I separate floss, I don't know how well it can be seen, is I pull off two and then I run my finger through it while keeping it separated so that I don't get knots. I found that works the best for me. DMC floss comes in 6 strands, which is super awesome for doing lots of things. I've never worked with full 6 strands. I've only ever worked with 2, sometimes 3. Stitching's going so far so good. Saren, if you can see, I've started the carousel horse's belly. There it is. Yay, carousel horse. And I decided to change colors, going to a light color. I'm not sure how well it's going to show up on stream, unfortunately, because all the colors, other than going to the center, which would be more gray, are all light colors here. Okay. All right. Okay, found my next starting spot. Using my box as a prop so that I can So for those of you just joining us, I am working on Teresa Wentzler's Summer Carousel Horse. I started just above center, the true center where I would have normally started if I wasn't doing this for everyone to see. Would have been an ecru, and ecru is ivory, and that would not have worked on ivory fabric on stream. So I definitely wanted to make sure that we started with something that could be seen right away. And I am working on 28 count Joblin, which is an even weave fabric. It is a blend of a synthetic and cotton, so it does have a synthetic feel. I probably won't use it again. I think a Monaco would be better. Don't worry about how well it shows. Also, Sarah, we're here for you. Crafting is a bonus. Yeah, I just wanted something to stand out just a little bit. Otherwise, it's stitching a whole lot of what looks like white on white, which is never that exciting, even when you're doing it. And in case anyone is interested in this pattern, it is available. Most of, actually all of Teresa Wentzler's patterns are out of print, but they are available online at patternsonline.com. This one is one that's available. Not all of her work is available online. And if you can find old leaflets, snatch them up fast. You can't see the stream picture well enough just watching and listening on my phone. Yeah, I do that a little bit. That's how I watch at work before work and on breaks. Is I got a little bitty picture and I can't really see what's going on. Sometimes I can tell and go, "Oh, it's pretty." And then I look at pictures later. Yeah, I don't always get to watch everything on the big screen or on my laptop. So this one has, so far I've been done full cross stitches. I've also done 3/4 cross stitches, which on an even weave fabric is so much easier than on an Aida cloth. On an even weave, you have a hole to put that half of a quarter of a stitch in, where on an Aida cloth you have to make your own hole, which doesn't work too bad. On 14 count, it's not so bad. Doing the dogs through time stitch along, doing that on 18 count has proving to be quite a challenge. If I could go back, I would do it on 14 count at least, but I had a bunch of 18 count fabric, so I said I'm going to use this up. That way I can buy more fabric, because I can buy all the fabric then. Because buying all the fabric is fun. And if you're like my mother, she who dies with the most fabric wins. But the question becomes, who gets that fabric then? And I can just see my husband right now going, "We don't get the fabric. We don't have space for the fabric." Which is probably good that I never got into crochet or knitting, because, yeah, having a yarn stash wouldn't work too. Yay, Mom says that I get all the fabric. Yay! You hear that, Cujo? I get all the fabric. Yeah. I might have to fight my brother for the house, Naka. I do have a younger brother. My younger brother is currently serving in the U.S. Navy. He is a submariner. And so, yay, thank you to my brother for his service. He's actually been on the East Coast, whereas as us West, and then he tells me that I'm crazy because I complain about the cold or something, and I remind him that I'm not on the East Coast right now, and I'm going to complain about the cold all I want. Siblings are there to fight with, right? I have none, so this is all hearsay. My brother and I did fight like cats and dogs growing up. Once I got older and went to college and moved out, we actually became really close. So the fact that he is kind of out of touch being in the Navy and specifically being on submarines means that it's been harder because I don't get to talk to him as much, and I really do miss my little brother. Yay, there are 3 bins of yarn. Awesome. 3 bins of yarn. I don't know what I would do with the yarn though, because I really don't do any yarn crafts. Not really my cup of tea. But I'll take all the DMC you have. I know you have quite a bit. Yay! Here proves that I've got my counting matched up, which makes me super happy. Yay, I counted correctly. I don't have not any yarn crafts yet. Yet. I've tried crochet. I can chain. I've done it. Didn't really hold my interest very long, so I didn't really want to try to learn how to do any of the other parts of crochet. I keep forgetting to say yet. But I've tried knitting. I could not figure out how to cast off. I got all the stitches on the needle and then I went, okay, now what do I do? So I couldn't figure that one out. Couldn't knit, couldn't purl. So, yeah. It looks like Grandma's going to teach, or my mother, who is Grandma, is going to teach my little one how to crochet. Yay, that'll be fun. And then we'll have all the crafts. I don't know, I guess maybe Mom, if you had crocheted when I had been little, I might have wanted to do it more. But my mom was cross-stitching and sewing when I was younger. My first cross-stitching or stitching project was a zebra. I need to find that zebra, and I will definitely have to show him off. But that's kind of what got me started, and I've been stitching ever since. I find it super relaxing. I love when my husband drives and we go places because I can stitch while he drives, so I can stitch away while he's driving, and it is awesome. Get lots of work done on our way to different events and locations. I'm glad I don't get car sick. I'm sorry, there's nothing exciting in my cup. It is just ice water. I was hoping that the next color I would do would be some of the blue that this pattern calls for. I'm really looking forward to that. It's a nice light blue. It isn't water? Then what am I drinking? I will say there might be clear alcohol in this house. It's mostly not because we're more whiskey drinkers. All right, so I think. All right, looks like. Oh, I should have done Oh, that's not too bad. I'm gonna be moving, so I'm going. Part of why I keep my back stay neat is I do a lot of cutting of my floss to move to big chunks. I don't carry it over super long distances. So that's fun. Trying to decide what I should do. Well, that one can carry down. I think we will do it that way. Okay, so and Saren uses her driving time to catch up on crochet. Yeah. Crochet would probably be easier to drive with. Actually, when I used to commute an hour to work, and I was able to do it by train for a while, so I would cross-stitch on the train, which was so nice. Didn't have to think about anything, just as long as I paid attention to my stop. Of course, that then meant that I had to take a lot of stuff to work, but that's okay. I still take a lot of stuff to work. Gotta have a crafting project to work on your breaks. How else are you gonna get any crafting done when you have a small child at home? And if you can hear her, she's very excited. She's playing with her dad. But that's kind of how it goes. I do have a little one. I like to think she's incredibly cute. But she is noisy because she's only 8 months old and does not know the difference between inside voice versus outside voice. So I know I started my stream during what was usually your dinner time, Sarah. Did you guys have a good dinner? One dog backstitch. Time for World of Warcraft. I agree. There's the Dogs Through Time Stitch Along has quite a bit of backstitching. If you check out my Instagram, you can see my progress on it, and it is it is backstitching heavy. It's the two stitch alongs I'm doing are good examples of one that is really backstitching heavy and one that is not backstitching heavy. So it's interesting where the Into the Jungle doesn't have a lot of backstitching, but the Dogs Through Time does. It's kind of a neat dichotomy of the two styles of cross stitching. Yay, pizza and wings. We had pot roast here. It was very tasty. My husband does a mean pot roast, and by mean I mean he's really good at putting everything in the crock pot, just like I am in terms of pot roast. But it was super tasty. Looks like everyone's going to be playing some World of Warcraft tonight. Maybe once I get my little one down, depending on how tired I am, maybe I'll jump in and play some bit too. I won't be streaming any World of Warcraft tonight. It'll just be some playing. You just want wings. I've had chicken wings in a long time. They're very tasty. Let's see. Just when I think I've got a whole section I can do in one color, I realize it's only like 5 stitches, so I get to move colors again. Yay, confetti type stitching. My pattern is not behaving right now. I did order a magnetic board, and Amazon has delayed it, so maybe where it shipped out of has snow or something, so hopefully it will come eventually. But yeah, you can tell there's so much stitching going on here. This color is really difficult to see against the ivory of the fabric. So hopefully, oh wait, no, I can still do more. Yay. I found more of the symbol that I was working on. So the chart that I'm working from is a hand-drawn chart, so some of the symbols are hard to read. So if I get up really close out of frame over here, so I'm trying to read the symbols, I might have to get myself a small magnifying glass. I am pretty nearsighted. I can see pretty well when things are really close, so which works really nice for cross-stitching. Don't have to wear reading glasses yet. Yay! Eventually. My optometrist reminds me that when I get to be in my 40s, I will probably be needing reading glasses to see what I'm doing up close. But yeah. So my plan for next week is to stream definitely Wednesday and Thursday. Next weekend, my husband and I will be going to another medieval event down by where my parents live. So we usually spend the night down there. We haven't decided what we're doing yet. So next Friday, I may or may not stream, but I definitely will be streaming Wednesday and Thursday. After work and whatnot, my stream schedule will be posted on my Twitch page, so if you're curious when I'll be live, feel free to check that out. I'll try to keep it as up to date as I can as my schedule comes out. But my goal is to be streaming 3 days a week. Maybe a surprise stream here and there if the baby's well behaved and we're not in the middle of anything else. Oh, I'm sorry, Musi. You got two people fighting outside your apartment. Yeah, where we're at's pretty good. I do have the problem with people who have taken California's recent legalization of marijuana to heart and smoke everywhere. And I go out to go take my dog for a walk and I can smell it. Which I'm all for, have fun, I really could care less, but it bothers my allergies, and that's where I get annoyed. I have the same problem with cigarette smoke and other types of smoke as well, so it's not just that. And since the complex we live in is a smoke-free complex, except for the designated smoking area, not sure you should be smoking that inside your apartment either. But that's how it is. Alright, so 1, 2 over 1. Alright. Gotta count those tiny little holes. A 28 count is actually the smallest I've ever worked. I have never worked on the other two common ones you'll find are 32 and 36 count. When you get to the even weave, I haven't worked on either one of those. Just the 28 count. Which is a lot like working on 14 count. And to give an idea, before I finish my stream, I do have next to me my completed Celestial Dragon Stitch. To give you an idea how much work the Teresa Wentzler patterns go into. I know Saren has also done the Celestial Dragon. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to stitch, but oh my goodness, when I did it, it was definitely taken off a little more than I could chew. And somewhere I have miscounted. Oh, that's not good. I am going to have to frog. Because I have miscounted somewhere and things are not lining up the way they're supposed to. 2, 3. Okay, that's correct. So that's correct there. So what did I miscount? Because that lines up like it's supposed to there. Oh no, I didn't miscount. I'm on the wrong row. Ah, there's a sigh of relief. I didn't miscount. Yay, I don't have to frog. No crying, Naka. I didn't miscount. It's good. It's all good. I thought I was one row lower than I was. Things did line up. I did not miscount. I would have been very sad. It is all good. Yeah. That's what I said. I was like, no, no. There's nothing more heartbreaking when you've done a lot of stitching and realize you've miscount so much that you have to frog all the stitches so that things line up later. And this early on, I would definitely be frogging stitches and not trying to make it work because it would definitely mess things up later down the line. And if you are hearing a happy or slightly grumpy baby in the background, that's because my little one is only so entertained for so long. Which is why I can't stream much longer than 2 hours, because she will need me at some point. Which is all good. She's really cute. But it's a little hard to see what I've done on here, but this is the part of the saddle. Looks like it's kind of the blankety, I used to know what all these pieces of the saddle were called, and I couldn't tell you right now to save my life. But it goes into the cinch strap of the saddle. Hey, there's a word I remembered. And if you are into carousel horses, you do know that the carousel horses are carved where one side is more heavily decorated than the other because only one side really shows from the outside of the carousel. And that is called, here's your carousel history lesson for you, the romance side of the carousel horse. And it's usually the more detailed carving and everything. And this is, carousel horses like this were from the height of the golden age of carousels in the United States. And there were quite a few different carousel carving companies. And they were, the horses were gorgeous and hand painted, and some of them had real horsehair tails. And I fell in love with carousels when I started working on a carousel. And it just, all the history, all the artwork, the craftsmanship that went into these things, I was in love. And that kind of sparked my love of the I always liked the carousels, liked riding them, enjoyed all that. But it wasn't until I started learning how to operate one that I really further fell in love with the carousel horses. So when I saw these patterns for the first time, I knew I had to have them. All right. And just for reference, here is the bottom of the carousel horse's stomach, and right here where I've finished stitching up here is the edge of the cinch strap that goes under the carousel horse's belly. So I think, let's see what the color chart says, because I would like to go on to another color, but everything is cream and white. So can we find a color in this area that's not cream and white? That's something a little more exciting. What's that? Ooh, tan. We can do tan. Tan is not cream or white. I just didn't want to work any more of the light color until I had some more darker colors established. So that was tan, which was 436, which I know is in this box. I saw it earlier. 437, 436. I didn't have to go hunting for it this time. I use a DMC's stitch bow for my floss organization. I can put a whole skein on that without having to unwind it, which is super nice. Kari is sipping on decaf Earl Grey. Where's the fun in decaf Earl Grey? Oh yeah, I guess if you got a little one and you're nursing, that's not always a good idea to have a whole lot of caffeine. I get migraines occasionally, so I haven't cut back a lot on caffeine even when I was pregnant with my little one. Actually, I had 2 different doctors tell me not to worry about caffeine too much. I didn't go crazy, but I didn't not drink caffeine. I tried to limit myself to 1, no more than 2 caffeinated beverages a day. All right. Getting better at the needle threading. Actually, I had Earl Grey this morning. I had a free Starbucks, so I redeemed it for a London Fog latte. Super tasty. Okay. All right. So normally when I work, I will work my way up to the the upper left-hand corner. I tend to work left to right, top to bottom. In this case, and I would work my way up to that border and up into that corner as quickly as I could. I may, in this case, actually finish the carousel horse because the pole establishes the way to the border pretty well, and it will be much easier than trying to count my way up into that corner. Plus, the carousel horse is fun, and even though the border might not be as exciting as the carousel horse itself, the border has lots of flowers and fans. I think it'll be just as fun to stitch as the carousel horse. So, yeah. The back stitching is going to be very interesting for this one. The chart I'm working on itself is completely black and white. It's just black symbols in each square, and the back stitching lines are just black lines. So there are instructions on what colors to do in what space in terms of the back stitching. Oh, Hikari, it's okay. Having a few hours away to yourself away from your little baby is completely normal. You need a little bit of me time to help recharge so that you can spend and give your full attention to your little one. Even I find that it's nice those hours at work on my break, I can enjoy some time to myself so that I can recenter my thoughts and not be like, oh my gosh, my little one is driving me up the wall. They sure are cute though, aren't they? Those moments are when we get our sanity back again. Not sure I ever had sanity to begin with. And that, but yeah, definitely helps to kind of recenter and refocus yourself. Take those few hours once they go to bed, stitch for a little bit once my little one goes to bed, just to kind of relax. Before I go to bed myself, I have to get up so early between work and making sure everything's ready for my little one that I go to bed when she does most nights, just because I'm beat, I'm exhausted. I just want to sleep. And you can attest to that too, Mom. Yeah. I don't know how you did it with me and my little brother, but thank you. And for all the times that I didn't take a nap and should have, I'm sorry. Because, oh my goodness, naps are amazing. Why did I not realize how amazing naps were when I was a small child? where are we going now? Apparently I am switching between doing one cross stitch at a time and doing rows. I totally missaw where I was, but that's okay. It was just a 3/4 stitch, so I didn't do a lot of stitching before I realized it. So I'm now working into what looks like might be part of the saddle of this carousel horse. So I've done part of the tummy, I've done a little bit of the blanket and the cinch strap, and I've moved on. Let's see. Sorry, husband though, lack of, yeah, that can be, oh, I can see where that gets frustrating, yeah. I actually took most of my time, state of California is really kind of awesome and allows bonding time, paid partly by the state for new parents to bond with their children, and I took a lot of that over Christmas, so I had a lot of time with just me and the little one. My husband does get a big brunt of taking care of the little one because he does work remotely some days, and then has the little one with him. Oh look, oh, I always napped. Oh, thanks Mom. Oh, my brother never, he still never sleeps. He'd be up for all hours of the night and then sleeps till like noon, which I don't know how he's handling that in the military, but you know. Yeah, I can sleep anywhere, just about. If I'm tired enough, I'll just go find a place and curl up and go to sleep. Which I can't do at work so much, but it's all good. That's what cross-stitching is for, right? It's like taking a brain nap. So yay, I've got a little more established up there. So you can see the tan moving in. I do promise there are other colors besides tan and gray in this. There is blue, there's some green, there's pink to help make a nice summery carousel horse. There's also some gold, and there will be some iridescence added. This one does call for Krennic blending filament, which is gorgeous, but is also such a pain. And I will probably be cursing it at some point. But I love the way the Krennic looks, so I will suffer through it to make it through. Yeah, my little one's is fussing pretty good, so I'm gonna probably have to wrap this up. Let me finish the stitch. Did want to show one thing before I moved on, because I do have my celestial dragon sitting right here, and I'd like to show him off to you guys before I call the stream. Alright, so you can see I've done a little bit of work there. You can see the belly of the carousel horse and this here. So it's getting established, yay. I'm gonna put that off to the side. But I do have my celestial dragon. This I did on 28 count linen, and actually I probably need to wash it still. I never got around to that. But there he is. He's a little hard to see. But maybe I'll hold him up here so you can see him as well. That was my first Teresa Wentzler project. I did not know what I was doing when I started. I learned everything I needed to do with that. It's got some sparkly colors. All these are clusters of beads. And then for the really scary part, there's the back side of it. And it looks much better on the camera than it does in person. It's a mess of fabric and floss, but there's that. Give you an idea what you're in store for with this carousel horse. So that's going to call the end of my stream, because my little one is beyond fussy and is going to need some mommy time. But I want to thank everyone for stopping by and saying hi. That's a mess, she says. Naka, you should see it in person. It's a mess. But thank you for stopping by. I'm so happy to have everyone here, and I'm so excited to continue moving forward. My next stream will be Wednesday. I don't remember what time I posted for it, but it is on my Twitch page, so check that out. And I will see you guys if you're looking for up to date of what I'm actually stitching. Check out my Instagram. Links are provided I'm at Kayariana on Instagram. So give me a like, give me a follow, and thank you for joining me. And I will see you guys next time.